We've been busy.
Very.
So anyway, we're going to show you a little bit of what we've done. Okay, so we have come to town, regular town, big town, because in the fall of the year we make this pilgrimage a few times with the trailer to pick up leaves, because people will rake their yards and they pile the leaves up, and it's very good for the garden. Cindy, is it good for the garden?
It's very good for the garden.
This is kind of the area we're looking for. People with trees, but no gardens. There lie the leaves.
Ready? Close.
So you're not ready. As I am the getaway driver, I man the vehicle while my elite team of leaf gatherers takes their time putting their gloves on.
You're the getaway driver. They're the
You're the dead weight, Etta. Dead weight. We learned a long time ago you better tarp these things. Otherwise they will come out at very inopportune time. This is our leaf haul. We'll leave most of these in the bags till spring. Leave most of these in the bags. They compost better in there. And Cindy put a level of leaves and grass clippings in the cold frame. That's what this thing's called. We've got some of the microgreens coming up, but not a lot to report out of this yet. Well, I have been gone for a couple of weeks, and this brush pile is good and dried out. We've put in for our permit. You have to have a permit in our county in Tennessee, and it's not like we're being overly regulated. It's just a matter of common sense. You know, it lets the fire departments know where there's a fire going so they don't get called out where they're not needed. And also, if it's just too daggum dry to burn, you know, they let you know. But we're going to get this thing started. Now, if everything goes correctly, this should go up. We shouldn't have to fool with getting it going anymore.
big fire.
Yeah. Got both sides going in. We got a hose and water down here and some fire extinguishers. normally we don't like to burn brush piles. We just pile them up, use the wood for other things, or just leave them to decompose. They make good wild rabbit habitat and stuff. You know, we hate to waste the nutrients. But in this case, you know, we're trying to clear this ground, and we've got a bunch of invasive stuff growing here. So, you know, we're going to have to be doing a lot of brush pile burning. We've already burned a couple. This is the biggest one we've burned this year. But yeah, good times. And there have been times when I've used some used motor oil to get them going, just a little bit that burns up in the fire. But we try not to do that either. Try not to have any trash in there. I mean, there's a few things that gets in. There were a few, you know, a couple of water bottles and some stuff like that in this pile. But we don't put a lot. Well, we don't put trash in there. You know, some stuff just ends up in there sometimes. But that way, it's the ashes we can use to spread on the garden spots and use in the compost and stuff. Wouldn't be a video without a big fat cat in it. Hey, fluffy cat, I'd stay away from that fire. Oh, I doubt this has got to burn up. So we've been getting a lot more stuff cut. You're probably noticing that I hadn't shot any video of me using a chainsaw. That's because there's somebody who doesn't really use a chainsaw but is an expert, and they're going to tell me everything I'm doing wrong. So I'm skipping that because I don't want to hear it. But I will tell you a funny story on those lines. Years ago, I was working at a rafting company. I ran the rock climbing caving program down on in Ocoee River, which is the river we had outpost on the Ocoee and the Nantahala. And the pine beetles came through northern Georgia and North Carolina and southeast Tennessee. Probably came through everywhere, but that was a part of the world I was concerned with at the time. Well, we'd have a pine tree, one of those loblolly pines, go down, you know, and as soon as it turned brown, according to the forestry department, the beetles had moved on and were in the trees around it. So anytime we had one of those big pine trees, I'm talking some of them, you know, 60, 70 foot tall trees, and with bases, you know, 20 inches across at the bottom. And one of those would go down. We'd have to cut all the trees all the way around it and just pile it up and burn it. Well, there was this guy. I won't give you his full name. We'll just call him Sweatman. That was his last name. I didn't particularly care for the guy, but he was an expert. He was a little older than the rest of us. You know, he was probably in his 30s, and you know, he hadn't picked up all the information he probably should have by the time he got there. But anyway, old Sweatman, he thought that he was the chainsaw master because he worked winters at these Christmas tree farms over in the Carolinas, and they were cutting down, you know, Christmas tree sized trees on mountains. And it's hard work. You know, it's real hard where you stand on the side of a mountain running a saw all day. It's never easy to run a saw all day, but you're just cutting little bitty trees. You know, you don't have to be concerned with that tree. If it lands on you, you're gonna be okay. Well, because he was, you know, running a saw for, you know, 10 hours a day in the fall right before Christmas, he thought that he was a chainsaw master. And he also really enjoyed pot, which, you know, do your thing, I don't care. But we took lunch one day, and he was up there taking bong rips on lunch in front of me and a couple of the other managers. And then he walks over there and grabs a damn chainsaw and fires it up and goes over to this 60-foot pine tree and starts cutting it at the base flat. Cutting flat across the base. He didn't notch it. He had nothing like that. He's just cutting it flat across the base, and he's got his hip propped up against the base of this tree like he's going to push it over when it starts to go, like he's cutting a damn Christmas tree. So anyway, we took the saw away from him and had him drag brush because that's something we could kind of trust him to do. But the moral of the story is just because somebody's got a lot of time on a saw doesn't mean they know anything about a saw. So take that take that little tidbit and do with it what you will. What you end up doing when you're burning a brush pile is you end up cutting more brush and putting it on there as it's burning good. You end up with some really green brush on top, or at least that's me anyway. So here's a trick. Use a blower when you get to this point, and then you can really kick it into high gear. The fun part about burning the brush pile is staying with it till it's done. Okay, next morning most of it's done. Got a little bit left that I threw on late last night that didn't end up burning up, but we'll get it burned up before the end of the day. Okay, well, we have another brush pile here. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult because we've got this cedar tree here, which we don't want to get rid of, and some more right around there. So we've cleared out around it. While this section right here is burning, we're going to have to be careful to keep it from lighting that up. But most of it's in here, and there's about a good dried out 3-year-old brush pile in the middle there. And then once we get it going, we're going to cut out these Callaway pears here. This is all where we're going to be putting in more area for the goats. We got our buckets of water filling up and hose down here. Fire extinguishers and tools, and we've cleared out around it to make it to where we can get around it and not trip, and hopefully keep this fire from spreading out. But it'll be all of us down here until it burns down good. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal. I'll probably need to clear out this little patch a little better, throw some of that stuff in there. But this is some of the stuff that's in the bottom. So really dry, it ought to get burning good. So we're gonna. Places now. Alright, so we're 10 minutes in. Chunk of it is done. Gonna end up spending most of the day pushing limbs in when it cools off a little bit.
We're burning a big fire, and it's really hot, and there's a lot of old limbs on it and a lot of new limbs on it.
Yeah.
This is Jewel reporting live from the brush pile. Now, you say you saw the entire thing?
I saw all of it.
What did you see?
Everything.
Is that it?
Yes.
You just saw everything?
Yes.
But what was everything?
It was everything.
What happened during the everything?
The fire was burned.
Let me give you some of the anatomy of the brush pile here. That over there is a pile that we did 3 years ago when we did some cutting and trimming, and I left to dry out. And then this right here is my children. We cleared an area up here this spring, and I was like, hey, go throw that on that brush pile. So they got close to that brush pile and piled it there instead. And then all the green stuff on top we've cut over the past couple of days. But this is what children do. They don't listen They pile them not in the brush pile. It's very frustrating. But at least they piled it somewhere, so I guess I should be thankful for that. So this is the Callaway pear and the thorns that are on them. Each branch has a very sharp thorn on the tip, and they're hollow, so they're fragile enough that they'll go right inside the skin on your thumb or hand and then break off, but they're also strong enough that they'll go through a boot and get your foot. Ed over there just got one in her foot. Show them your wound. See your wound? So this is what we're trying to get rid of. Now in the end, we've gotten our best tool for clearing ground out. We've still got some green honeysuckle over here, so they're enjoying the treat. And just to make our own lives more complicated, we added more to the brush pile, but we got more area cleared. Okay, this is the first brush pile we burned. We did this what? Friday?
I'm getting my days mixed up. It's been a couple of days.
It was after Thanksgiving. Friday. We did this.
Yes, Friday.
We did this Friday, and it's important for me to discover about every 10th brush pile that I burn that just because you pile it around a tree doesn't mean I'm just going to burn the tree down. So, my bad. Brush pile that we burnt today, Sunday. We started this at 9 in the morning. Yeah, 9.
Yeah.
And it is 3:30. It burned really well. And we also okay, Lucy. What are you doing? Lucy's trying to nibble on me.
Or headbutt you.
I think she was trying to bite me. But it burned up real well, and it's burned down enough that we've left hose down here and some buckets of water and a couple of fire extinguishers, but we've taken all the tools and stuff. We're not worried about this getting out of control. So that's a big thing done. Okay, so that's been 3 days. See, brush pile, leaves, brush pile, 4 days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, Friday,
Today's
Saturday,
Sunday.
yeah. So, that's been 3 days. That's 3. Yeah, that's been 3 days of us going pretty heavy. But we got a lot done.
Feels like midnight.
Yeah,
it's only 3, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 3:30. So, anyway, I think I'm gonna have a beer. All right, y'all behave yourselves.